All right. How many of you are familiar with mass timber construction? Okay, a couple people. There's a lot of information here, so hopefully by the end of it, you all know a little bit. When Denver adopted the new building code, we became the third jurisdiction in the country to incorporate types 4A, 4B, and 4C mass timber into the building code. That doesn't mean that we're the only ones interested in building out of mass timber. It's actually quite the opposite. It's incredibly popular right now. It's fast, cost-effective, safe, and it looks awesome. So real quick, let's talk about what mass timber is. Mass timber is solid wood made up of smaller pieces. So we're talking 2x size or even down to 1x1 sticks all glued into a solid piece. It can be any of your primary frame, beams, columns, walls, or the floors. And it's prefabricated, so it comes out to the site in large pieces, and that makes the construction really fast, and we'll touch on that again in a minute. It is also fire resistant. So mass timber is not 2x stick framing that everybody thinks of when you think of fires. It creates a char layer that you see here, and it'll eventually put itself out and slow that fire down. So that's what mass timber is. Let's talk about why it's so popular right now. First of all, it looks awesome. It's also a more natural looking space, so people are happier and healthier when they're in that more natural space. We're seeing high lease rates and high lease velocity. Plat 15, which was just completed downtown, is nearly fully rented out, and we're being told by the owner that it has the highest lease rates in the city. It's also great during construction. It goes together really fast, and this has to do with it being prefabricated, which I mentioned earlier. So it comes out in these large pieces, and it goes together really fast with limited labor. It's quiet, and there's not a lot of construction traffic while it's going together. It's also environmentally friendly. So mass timber is made from wood, which comes from trees, which keep growing, so it's sustainable. It also embodies carbon, so it helps achieve some of those goals that we just heard about for Denver. So the new building types. We have types 4A, 4B, and 4C. 4A is the tallest of these, up to 18 stories in height. With that, it has the most stringent fire protection requirements. So we're required to have 2-hour fire protection for floors and 3 hours for the primary frame. And what that looks like is a lot of drywall. At the end of the day, all of the wood is covered up, and you can't tell that that is a wood building. Next, we have type 4B. These go up to 12 stories in height, and these have 2-hour floor and 2-hour frame ratings. But you can leave portions of your ceilings and walls exposed, 20% of the ceiling and 40% of your walls. So not a ton, but you can at least see that this building is made from wood. And last, we have type 4C. These go up to 9 stories or 85 feet. In reality, we expect to see most of these at 8 stories because of that 85-foot height limit. These also have the 2-hour floor and frame rating, but you're allowed to keep all of the wood exposed. So this is kind of what most people think of when you think of a mass timber building. You get to see that entire structure. This is where we expect to see most of the new buildings that are these type 4 buildings because they're within that 8-story height limit, and you get all of the benefits of mass timber, including getting to see it. So KL&A and Adolphson and Peterson did Plat 15 together and decided to do a case study where we really dove in and wanted to understand the difference between wood, steel, and concrete construction. So we had this 6-story building, type 3. We have an identical footprint, same column layout. Everything is the same except for the construction material. So first we're going to look at the environmental impacts. Global warming potential is kind of a standard unit to look at that, and a low global warming potential is good, high is not as good. And I think, as everybody would expect, wood wins over steel and concrete. The real question, though, is about cost. So at first pass, when you compare costs of the different construction types, the concrete is the lowest, steel is next, and wood has a significant premium over the other two. The real savings for mass timber comes in during construction speed, though. Concrete and steel for this building take about 6 months, and that mass timber building takes half that time, which equates to a cost savings. So when you add in your general conditions, your labor, which is the amount of labor and how long that labor is out there, the cost premium for the wood goes down by 50%. If you also include general requirements, equipment rentals, and waste management, the cost premium for wood goes down even further, so that the difference between wood and steel is almost negligible. Then if you include urban site logistics, assuming that this is getting built in downtown Denver, the cost for a wood building actually goes down below the steel building. And finally, just for fun, we decided to include finishes. This is a type 3 wood building, so that wood is going to be fully exposed, whereas with your concrete and steel buildings, you're going to have to do a lot of finishes. So with that, the premium for a wood building is 0.5% over concrete, which is pretty much negligible. To wrap up, I want to show just a couple of quick pictures of mass timber buildings so you know what we're talking about. So this is Plat 15 in Denver, type 3B building, which we've talked about a little bit. This is Brock Commons in Vancouver, type 4A. This is the tallest mass timber building in North America so far. This is Framework in Portland, type 4B. This was not built. To date, I don't know of any type 4Bs that have been completed. This is T3 in Minneapolis, type 4C. And as I mentioned, I expect to see type 4C more than any of the other type 4 buildings. We've got that 8 stories. You get to see your mass timber. You get the full benefit of that mass timber building. That is it. I know that was really fast, so hopefully you guys learned something.